Do you think that humans have always been plagued by the need to keep themselves busy, or is this is hustle and grind culture as much of a modern phenomena as YouTube essays would have us believe?
I think it's very hard to sit with yourself because there's panic about what you might discover. One of the fascinating things is, why are we so easily distracted? Why can't we sit with our thoughts? The reason is that there's so much about our thoughts that is mixed up with sadness, regret, fear, etc. And it takes courage. It literally takes courage, which is why the best places to think are often those where there's a little bit of distraction and a possibility for introspection.
Have you got any places that you do that yourself?
Trains. I mean, we think we invented railways to go from London to Manchester or New York to Philadelphia. We didn't. We invented them as places to think. Because in a half-empty carriage, what better place than to get to know not the destination, but yourself? That you're looking out of the window and there's enough distraction from the telegraph poles going by or the birds overhead. There's enough to kind of take your imagination, to kind of tether the more anxious sides of you. But there's also enough encouragement to keep going and keep making, discoveries. It's really hard to think when thinking is all you're meant to do. I mean, if you want to terrify somebody, put them in a blank room and give them a sheet of paper and go write out who you are and what you're really concerned about. That's panic-inducing.
Mhm.
But if somebody, why do our best thoughts come to us in the shower? You're not supposed to be thinking in the shower. Your mind is let loose from an agenda. That's when the good thought comes through.
Mm.
Good thoughts are charged with anxiety. Thinking is an anxious process. And so we need to give ourselves a little bit of comfort. That's why people often like to work in a cafe. It's like, the reason is there's a lot of bustle around. That bustle's absorbing the nervous energy and allows sometimes a good thought to come through. The problem with the modern world is that so many of the things we want to do take so long. And, the great thing about a pre-industrial world is that we used to be able to achieve things within a handy time scale. You ran a bakery and in the morning you had the flour and you put it together and the yeast and then it had risen and then you sell it and then, on and on it goes. And in a 24-hour cycle, you've gone through the whole thing. Nowadays, most people work in organizations, 1,000, 2,000 people. They're working on projects that will take years to come to fruition. I sometimes think, why do people love sports? Again, sports take place within a concentrated time period. A football match is 90 minutes. Within 90 minutes, there will be an objective, a goal, a victory, defeat, etc. It's manageable. Most of us have lives in which the pitch is 8,000 kilometers long. The game takes 20 years. There's 25 balls. There's 18 goalposts. You don't know what's going on. You lose the thread of your own life and of the game that you're meant to be playing, which is why so many of us have crises where we think, hang on a minute, what am I supposed to be doing? Because we're within complex organizations that deny us that clarity of the earlier pre-industrial world.